Welcome to Launchpad, brought to you by the Garatoni School of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, where we meet with entrepreneurs in the greater Lafayette area who are changing the business landscape. Today, I want to introduce Rob Theodorow, founder of Generation NA. Thank you, Rob.
Hey guys, thanks Mark for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. I love this place every time I come in. I love the vibe and the feel of it. I wish that I could just sit down at the bar sometimes and just talk, and I will one day.
Yeah, come on in. There's no reason not to. You can even do it during your workday.
That's right. And play Pac-Man, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, fantastic. So let's get to it. I got a couple of questions for you.
Shoot.
So here's the first one. What sparked your entrepreneurial mindset, and how did you come up with this idea?
Absolutely. So I've actually been self-employed for 23 years. I graduated from Purdue in computer graphics and started a software agency called SFP.
Yes.
So I've learned a lot over that time, and I've really enjoyed the process. Although being in business for over 20 years, you're going to see a lot of things, the good, the bad, the ugly. You get to kind of see everything, but you learn a lot of lessons, right? So while I don't have a business degree, I don't have any experience with retail or hospitality or bartending. A lot of people are like, why are you in this industry? How did you get involved? So I saw a couple patterns emerging during COVID, right? A lot of people were drinking and kind of reevaluating their relationship with alcohol. So you had that on one side of it. On the other side of it, you had a lot of brands coming out with products. A lot of people have heard of brands like Athletic Brewing Company, Go Brewing, Seed Lip. I mean, there were a lot of these products coming out that I saw were being underrepresented. Couple that with the fact that taking a look at data overseas, UK, Germany, Australia, you could see sales for these products just going up. So taking a look at and absorbing all of this, I thought, it might be kind of fun to put all these products together, make a liquor store, a bar, a brewery. There were a couple shops that were similar to this around the coast. There were maybe 4 or 5 shops. So think like New York, San Francisco, nothing like this in the Midwest. So a lot of people were skeptical. We got a lot of eye rolls, laughters, people like, what's the point? So we started it as a pop-up shop. And 3 years later, we now have a full retail brick and mortar on Main Street. And it's exceeded projections from what I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I do love the idea that you mentioned you did your research too, though. You actually did some market research to find out, hey, is this something only I like, or is this something that everyone
Absolutely,
likes?
Because if I'm going to jump into a business, I already had a business. At the time, I had 17 employees. Right. We're virtual now. We've scaled it back just a little bit, but it's not something that I wasn't going to just jump in and start anything, right? And so I was pretty confident that the trend was going to be there. The projections that we have now are more of what I thought would happen in maybe 5 or 10 years. So it's happening even a little bit quicker than I had thought. But my biggest challenge was not having any background in the industry. So I saw this idea, but I'm a website developer. How am I going to open a retail shop, run a bar, and then how am I going to get the respect of people in the business to say, this guy's my website developer? So I had to open something early on, right? You have to be one of those like bleeding edge people in the space, and really hit it hard. Social media, drive that following, relationships with brands. I mean, we can call up almost any of the owners of these brands in the space, and they know about us, they know about me, they answer our phone calls. So getting those relationships early on, because those get harder over time as it expands. One of the biggest things that we also did was hiring people that complement my weaknesses. So I stay in my lane, right? I mean, I'll do things like ordering, but I do a lot of like our marketing, our social media, our SEO, but I hired people with retail expertise and bartending and hospitality expertise to round out our team. So I don't have to pretend to know what I'm doing in those areas.
I really like that. I've come in and talked with some of your workers in here before, your employees. They're fantastic. They're very knowledgeable, and they know how to interact with people. You did a fine job with that. They are great compliments to this establishment.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, being in the service industry, hiring the right people is everything in your brand. And Yeah, it's kind of interesting because when you hire, nobody has expertise in the category. It's new,
Right.
so we really, I mean, you can have the main skills of people, the soft skills,
Sure.
right? People skills, customer service, bartending, but really nobody knows about the product. So we have to train staff from the ground up and get them on Instagram. Have them follow the brands, have them search their websites, and we do a lot of product tastings as well too. So every Friday, it's not only an opportunity for customers but our staff to continue learning. We carry it's right around 450 different products. And people are like, well, have you tried them all? I haven't even tried them all because there's constantly, we have a queue, a backlog of products in the back, and there's constantly new things coming out.
Sure.
And not just different flavors, but different categories. So a good example is we started with non-alcoholic beer and wine, and we were branded a non-alcoholic shop. And that was great for, let's say the 5 or the 10% of the market that don't consume alcohol, right? People that are in recovery, people that are pregnant, people that have medical issues. But we wanted more than that. We wanted to be mainstream. So we saw sales for our functional beverages that have, CBD, kava, kanna, functional mushrooms, stuff like that. People, beverages that help people relax. We saw those sales spike to about 75%. So where non-alcoholic beer is only maybe 9 or 10%. So we've rebranded a little bit on the outside of the shop.
Sure.
We took away everything that says non-alcoholic because that makes it a little bit, for some reason, it's a little bit like stigmatizing, right? And I don't know why.
Right.
We wanted to just be a drink shop, right? People will walk into a gas station and get a Diet Coke. They'll walk into a deli and get an iced tea. Well, those are non-alcoholic drinks, and people will order those. But for some reason, when you say non-alcoholic, they think, well, I drink alcohol. I don't need to drink these products. And, they think of products like O'Doul's. And these are very new products and in a very new category. So my long version of the story is we changed my short story. I'm taking the long roundabout here, is we changed our branding on the outside from non-alcoholic to functional bottle shop, and it exploded, right? Everybody was walking by, and no longer are they coming in and asking me, what's the point? And asking me like a defensive question. They're coming in and they're asking things like, what's a functional drink? What can that do? And we can tell them, well, when you go into a liquor store, you have one thing, and it's always going to do the same thing. Where here we have dozens, if not, honestly, hundreds of different ways that we can make people feel, whether it's, to feel relaxed or focus, energy, sleep aid, pain management. There's a ton of different ways that we can help people, achieve that mindset that they're looking for through adaptogens, nootropics, botanicals, herbs, roots, cannabis. A lot of people don't realize that cannabis is legal in Indiana. You have to go about it the right way, but it is.
Right. Yeah. And that helps you, for one, the wide array of products, and then your rebranding helped you stay adaptable in the market, right?
Yeah.
And helped you portray yourself differently than anything else out there.
It's the same thing. And I'll tell you another fun example. When we first did beer festivals, we would bring a tablecloth that said non-alcoholic beer right in the middle of a regular beer festival. We had hardly anybody that came. We rebranded. We got a giant pop-up tent, and we changed it from non-alcoholic beer to hangover-free beer. And then we also added that we offered THC, CBD, adaptogenic slushies, and we have an arcade here. Just fun things. Still the same product. Our line was longer than the beer lines, just by changing the verbiage on what we're selling. And it's crazy because they would initially come and ask about the hemp-derived THC, the CBD, the slushies. But then when we ran out of those, because we ran out early because it was very popular, they would then say, well, what do you have? Tell me about this beer that you have too. And it was the same product, but just a different label on it. And it's a different mindset, and it made it appealing to them. Once you have something in your lineup that they resonate with, it opens up the opportunity to sell all of your same things to that person. It's like an open book versus a closed book.
Yeah, that's a great story, and I think that people who are watching are going to learn from that, right? That learn from your story and your original mistake, and then how you corrected it, to realize that we all have to have that pivot plan, right? Something just in case.
Yeah. And as big of an audience as you can have, right? I mean, we are a niche business, but if you can somehow cater to everybody can enjoy a drink.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all ages. Some drinks are 21 and up, some drinks are 18 plus, but there's families that come in. We even offer, drinks for children. We don't specialize in that, but we carried like Harry Potter butterbeer, and we have, a couple premium sodas and stuff like that too. But it's mainly an A&A spot. And people are like, well, what's A&A? It's an adult non-alcoholic spot. So we do zero proof drinks. You hear the word mocktails a lot. We don't do mocktails. Mocktails exist, but mocktails are drinks that you would go that have juices and sodas. They don't have spirits in it. We offer spirits, both functional and also analog options. So like your gins, your whiskeys, your rums, just they're zero proof, but they give you the same flavor. They give you that bite, they give you that burn. So you can make a cocktail side by side with the leaded version. So we call, leaded and unleaded.
Yeah.
And the taste can be 90 to 100% the same.
The same. Wow.
And then you can infuse it, right? So a good example is we do adaptogenic slushies. So you get the flavor of the cocktail. You can infuse it with Delta-9, CBD, L-theanine, kava. Kava is great for relaxing.
Sure.
Has a lot of the same things that people look for in alcohol in terms of how they want to relax, or mushrooms. So, we want to kind of take away the reasons why people drink and why they think that that's the only option. The reasons are commonly they like to socialize, they like the flavor, and they want to relax.
Absolutely.
We can answer and give them something that does all three of those.
Without the damage.
Without the damage, without the hangover, without side effects. A big thing in our space is, I don't know if you noticed a couple weeks ago, the U.S. Surgeon General came out with a statement about alcohol and putting a cancer label on it. And a lot of people don't realize just how dangerous it is. A lot of people don't realize that alcohol damages and kills more people than every other drug, and they don't realize that. And, consumed in moderation, it's not going to be a problem. But a lot of people aren't doing that. No. And a lot of people don't realize that they even have options. Yep. So we're excited. It may seem, counterintuitive, but we're excited when we see bars start carrying these products. Yeah. They're carrying, some even the hemp-derived products, just so people know that they have these options. Yeah. Because that's really what we opened to Generation in AFAR, was just to educate consumers that they have alternative drinks. I would love it if they could go into bars, in the future. Maybe it's just a couple years away at this point with how fast it is. And you order a cocktail and ask what you want in it. Do you want alcohol? Do you want kava? Do you want L-theanine? Do you want cannabis? And it's not always assumed that it's booze.
Oh, I love that. That's a great objective, right? Goal to see in the future. And I think you're probably right. It's not that far away.
Yeah, I think we'll get there. And I talk with a lot of bars, a lot of breweries. A lot of them buy the products from us. They're buying it, and their sales are going up, and they're buying more from us. Yeah. We work with breweries that have been around, ones in Chicago, and they've been brewing craft beer for over a decade. When I first went up there, they said about 10% of their portfolio were the hemp and the non-alc offerings. Then it was 20%, then 50%. Last time I asked them, 75% of what they're doing is their non-alc stuff, and 25% is the craft beer. Wow. So we're seeing these trends across the board.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you got in early. Yeah. And that's I think that's a fantastic strategy for anything.
And the other thing I didn't really talk about too much was these aren't older people. These aren't people our generation or boomers, Gen X. These are younger people. Gen Z is really taking hold of drinking less and looking for alternative ways to relax and socialize. And that tells me that this category is only going to continue to grow.
Absolutely. I agree with that. All right. So let's talk about what's next. What do you feel like your next step is going to be, without giving away too much, obviously? And how do you feel like that's going to continue to impact the community?
Absolutely. So we're kind of in a crossroads right now. We have a single successful brick and mortar shop. It's doing more than what we had hoped for at this point. So, we're contemplating doing a couple things. I haven't made a decision on which route I want to go. We've considered a second store. I don't know if Lafayette's the perfect market for that, because right now we don't really have any competition. Sure. So it's not like a liquor store where you need one on every corner. So it'd have to be in another city or another market, which we are looking at. Franchising is also a different route you can take. Sure. Although it's expensive, there's headaches, there's lawyer fees. I'm not sure about that either, but I am exploring that. We get a lot of people that want to franchise a Generation NA. It's almost every week somebody reaches out and they want that opportunity. So the entrepreneur in me sees the brand and sees the opportunity. But also, work-life balance and family, it's a lot of work. I don't like making decisions that are based around only the monetary gain for it, right? There's other factors there. And certainly if it was only about money, we'd be franchising this thing and everything. But it's about quality of life and flexibility, and it's just not working too much. We're not here for that long. I enjoy what we do. So right now we want to make this thing, and we already have to a destination place. We get people on the weekends that come from all around the Midwest, really all around the world. A lot of times, their kids are at Purdue, they're in for a game, or they're driving through on 65, but they know about us. I mean, on the weekends, there's quite a few people every weekend that come in from out of town because there's not anything like this. So for my mindset, it's easier to have them come to you. So how do we do that? We offer a unique experience. We offer brands that they can't find in their local market. Social media is obviously big, creating that brand and that culture of people that want to come in to the space. And that's kind of where I'm at now, but I haven't ruled out creating our own products, offering consulting services for brands, looking to create products. We're in a unique position where we have almost 3 years of sales data. When you put 400 to 500 non-alcoholic SKUs together, what do people buy? What are they willing to pay for it? What are they asking for? What are they repeating purchasing versus single purchasing? So there's a lot of valuable data that we can use to develop our own brands, work with brands, or just consult for new beverage brands.
Yeah, that's some great opportunities, options out there. Yep, I would definitely do what you're doing, and that's move slowly and take the right one, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah, we bootstrapped this. So I borrowed a little bit from my other business and then paid it back. But, it's great to do a zero interest loan when you can.
I swear by bootstrapping. I think every business, my brothers and I launched 6 different restaurants over the last 25 years, and we borrowed money for one.
Yeah.
And
we started as a pop-up shop during COVID in my web development business. $700 worth of inventory, some shelves off Amazon. And if nobody came, I was just going to drink it myself.
Yeah, sure. You weren't out anything.
Yeah. And then, week 1 sales, we bought a cooler. Week 2 sales, we bought a tap. We bought more inventory. And it just so what you see around the shop now is 3 years worth of sales. And we reinvested. I don't take an income from it. I invest it back into payroll for staff, into inventory, into equipment upgrades, all of that, because I want to make it a really unique, special place. But we also don't want to take on debt. Unfortunately, there have already been non-alcoholic bars and bottle shops, mainly the bars though, that they get in expensive space, they do this beautiful build out, and then they open, and then we see 3 to 6 months later they close. And they just didn't understand the margins, and that's what's scary about a new space. Is there's not a lot, especially when we opened 3 years ago, there was nobody I could reach out to and ask, well, what do your books look like? Because there really wasn't anything in the category in any markets that were like this. So taking it small, taking it slow, taking on, we downsized the tech business. I was in a 6,000 square foot office and it was awesome. But during COVID, there were 2 of us that came. So we're in about 1,100 square foot now, and we split that between Generation and SFP. And, just to be a little bit transparent about how low our overhead is, we have to be open 2 hours on a Saturday, and that's our rent. And it may seem like, well, we could have probably got a better space, but I'm really glad that I didn't, because we never have to stress about making a rent payment, worrying about payroll. And I did that for 20 years. I mean, not every year, but I did that in my other company when we had, payroll that was 30 grand every other week. That's a lot of money you have to come up with, and a lot of employees, and then insurance on top of that and stuff. I mean, it's scary when you have to, make thousands of dollars every day before you can break even on that. You can lose a lot of money very quickly.
You can.
And I was like, at first I was like, I don't want to have any payroll for this. But then the opportunity was there, and we wanted to get there. I don't want to work on Saturdays, and that's where the business is at. But low overhead is the most important thing that you can do. And you may think it's low, but I guarantee you're going to have some slow months. You're going to be happy that it's low.
Absolutely right. There are those lean times, right, when the money's coming, but bills have to be paid first before it gets here sometimes.
I relate with that so much with my agency. Net 30 turns in net 60 to net 90.
Yes.
And that's what's so great about these businesses that balance it out. We're open 7 days a week. That means that we get money 7 days a week.
Yes. Every day. Right.
Except for, I guess, Saturday and Sunday. But you get those on Monday.
It's one lump sum. It'll be there, right?
Yeah, and that's what's great. So you get that short-term cash flow, and then with the agency, you get the longer-term, the bigger stuff, the contracts.
Right. Yep. Okay, final question. There are going to be entrepreneurs or people who are considering being an entrepreneur. What kind of advice, what would you tell them right now that would be the most important thing you could convey?
Absolutely. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but keeping the overhead low. That's the single most important thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Try not to borrow money. Try to bootstrap where you can. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's not always possible, but that's the most important thing too. Creating something that is unique for your market and experience. I mean, we have a lot of similar businesses in town. They do well. My two most successful businesses were, I opened a web development agency 23 years ago when people really weren't doing that,
Sure.
and SEO was a new thing. I opened a non-alcoholic bottle shop 3 years ago when nobody was really thinking about it. So thinking about a need that you could fill in your community. I oftentimes, I'm from a bigger city. I'm from St. Louis. I travel a lot to bigger cities. I look at businesses there and services, and I don't do this intentionally. My mind's just always doing this as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
I think about, would that be a good fit for Lafayette? Could that be something? And a lot of times it'd be like, yeah. Like, I have a ton of ideas for businesses that I don't have time for. I'm not going to share those because I may open them down the road, but
Right.
just looking for opportunities of where you can grow, in your community. It doesn't have to be brick and mortar. It could be online,
Absolutely.
as well too. I've
Right.
done it both ways.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. I hope that I wish you all the success in the world, because you already are doing fantastic. Oh, well, we got to, though, you just got an award or recently, right?
Yeah.
Or an honorable mention.
I can talk about that now.
Yeah. Tell us about those things.
Yeah. So
recognition.
We entered the first ever no fun zero proof cocktail contest, and we had to make a reel. We had to come up with a recipe. Hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands of people entered this. I mean, professional bartenders, brands. We were announced that we were a finalist, so they flew us out to DC for Mindful Drinking Fest last month, and which is great. And they gave us a little bit of a budget, flew us out. We had to perform live on stage. I think there were 400 or 500 people. I was a little bit nervous, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I don't really get nervous, but I was like, that's a lot of people. And there were some celebrities. The judges were, they had won, it was the winner of Drink Masters from Netflix was there. Run DMC was there. I mean, these are people, all the brands, all the people in the space that we look up to were watching us. And so we went, and with your help, we filmed some of this in a jail, and we told this story about how we got in trouble because we did too many shenanigans. It was a whole long thing. You can check it out on our Instagram. But long story short, we performed and we won. We won first place. They liked our slushie, which was a cinnamon toast punch slushie. So we take retro breakfast cereals. We've done an Apple Jacks one. We did cinnamon toast crunch. We're going to do a Lucky Charms one, and we infuse them and we make slushies. And we had mixologists come up to us afterwards and ask, well, how did you capture this flavor? What kind of cinnamon? What kind of sugar? And I was like, dude, we just took a box of cinnamon toast crunch, made a giant thing, and drained it. And they were like, that's a really smart idea. We never would have done that. And that's probably because of my lack of bartending skills, but it gives them the flavor and the nostalgia of what they remember as a child.
Sure.
And we won. And we won. They said it wasn't even close. So the flavor and the presentation. So long story short, we now won a trip to go to Athens, Greece for the Athens Bar Show in November. And they want us to help represent the non-alcoholic category to the world.
That's
from Lafayette,
amazing.
Indiana.
Indiana.
That's my other pitch I tell people too, because I had to talk on stage when I won, and I said, it doesn't matter where you're from, you can make a difference. You can be from Lafayette, Indiana, and I know that a lot of people look at our brand and like what we're doing. We're now a benchmark for them to open their non-alcoholic bottle shops.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are you in Lafayette, Indiana? And I said, you know why? Because I live here.
That's true. You're making an impact locally and nationally, and you're putting us on the map all at the same time.
We try.
Yeah.
We get a lot of destination business, and then they come in and they ask, what should we do while we're here? And I said, you should check out downtown.
Absolutely.
The restaurants, the shops, the bars,
Yeah.
the specialty retail. I mean, our downtown, I've been a downtown business owner for 23 years, and it's never been better than it is right now.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, it's fantastic. So everyone should make a trip down to downtown Lafayette and check out all of the different shops there, especially stop in and talk to Rob. Thank you very much, Rob, for your time. I know it's valuable, and I appreciate the insights you've shared today.
Absolutely. Well, it's always good to see you, Mark. I always love helping out with the podcasts, with the classes, with everything.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble on a bit here. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us on Launchpad. I'm Mark Lowe, Program Chair for the Garatoni School of Entrepreneurship and Innovation here in Lafayette at Ivy Tech. And thank you again, Rob, for letting us come in and talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. You guys are always awesome to have out, and hope to see everybody down here at Generation NA. Free Sample Fridays.
Awesome.